Recording. Okay. Welcome to our Havayah Teachers
Is he a
webinar.
teacher?
So
he do
everybody
for a
should
living?
be here. And we're looking forward to a conversation that surrounds us with three big ideas. One, we're going to go through the Mifgash and make sure everybody's on the same page. Two, we're going to talk about the Google group and how we can use it to benefit ourselves and not just as an inconvenience. And three, we're going to ask for feedback about Havayah this year so far and anything you want to share as we plan for our launch next year in our second year of Havayah. So, welcome. I'm just going to reiterate who's here. We have Alexis from Edet Israel, Barry from Temple Beth Hillel Bethel, Harvey from Or Ami, Janet from Mainline Reform Temple. I believe Vicky is here from Kol Emet. We have Lee from Germantown Jewish Center. And we also have on the line Anna Marks from Jewish Learning Venture and Rabbi Aaron Hirsch from Gratz College. Thanks for being here, everybody. Okay, so the first question is, do you all have the Mifgash for Teachers document? Have you all had a chance to review it?
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes,
Does anybody need it?
probably.
Okay. Probably. All right, we're gonna go through it a little bit. I'm sure I can send it out again. Following the call, I'll be happy to send it out again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So remember, this is the third Mifgash. It's happening on February 26th at Kol Emet in Yardley. That means that everybody except Kol Emet will be transported by bus to Kol Emet. And remember, this is the culmination of our Sacred Time unit. So before the Mifgash, please figure out how many projects are coming from your congregation and let me know. Some of you have already been in touch. If you need technological assistance, we're going to have to plan that in advance. Tomorrow, Anna and I are going to Kol Emet to scan the space. We have found that going to the space in advance helps us to provide the best experience for your kids. And so we will be scouting out the space of Kol Emet tomorrow. So let us know how many projects and any technology or special setups you might need. And that will help us to provide the right space for your kids' project. So far, so good? Okay. So
I turned off my video.
once, is that Lee? Okay. That'll do it. So hopefully he's here and he can unmute himself when there's no background noise. So once you've arrived at Kol Emet, all the students are going to be asked to write on chart paper. So you might recall that at the first Mifgash, they wrote on an index card and put it in a bucket. And at the second one, we wrote on the wall. This time they're going to be writing something they're proud of, and they're going to find their tribal location. Again, we will have balloons so that you'll know where to go. Once everybody has arrived, we will open with an opening song, Hine Matov, as we've done in the past. We'll reintroduce all the congregations, all the tribal leaders, all the guests from Jewish Learning Venture, from Gratz College, and from Jewish Federation of Greater Philadelphia. And we'll ask a few questions about what's new, and hopefully the kids will have something to share about Havayah now that it's mid-year. Were there any surprises? Was there anything they would change? We're going to spend a little bit of time reminding the kids that this is a pilot year of a big program. Sometimes they're in the moment and they don't quite get the big picture. And so we'll take a minute at this Mifgash to explain that because we want to hear from them. We'll explain the outline of the program, and everything will be on slides so that kids who do better with things in front of them will be able to see. Okay. So in the next 45 minutes, that's 15 minutes worth of introduction, then we're going to do a project siyum, the conclusion of the project. And as you have identified, as we heard from you, the kids really do want to present, but we can't have them present to everybody. So we will have each congregation present their projects to one other congregation. We'll match up. There's 8 congregations. We'll match you up with another congregation, and you'll share with each other. There will be a form to fill out so that they can reflect upon what they've seen. But and each you will each have a sheet also. So we've already sent you a sheet where like your project should come with a sheet that explains the project, and we will be collecting those sheets. I'll send them out again at the end of the call or tomorrow when I send out the notes from the call. Okay, so far so good. We're an hour in. Are there any questions so far?
I just have a comment. I have a new student that isn't in a group.
You have a new student, completely new to ADIF?
Yep, so he's started right at the beginning of this unit, so he did the whole project.
Super, so you're gonna need to send us the name of that student. We're happy to put him in a tribe, and we'll have to bill you for him because there's a cost for each student. So just send us that information and we're happy to add him
And one
in.
dropped, so I guess he takes their place.
That may be true. So maybe there isn't a cost differential, but we still need the who dropped and who added to make sure that we have our name tags appropriately. But maybe, and if you know that that new student needs to be in a group with other people, let us know that as well.
Okay.
I have
Questions?
And any food allergies?
And if there are any food allergies, we need to know that as well.
I have a question.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I think I spoke over somebody.
Okay, I think it's Janet. Let's go Janet, and then Ari.
Okay, I have a suggestion. When you do Hine Matov,
Yep.
it's a tune that maybe a whole bunch of kids don't really know
Mm-hmm.
or forget from time to time.
Sure.
It would be cool if you could send us a recording, like on the internet, and that way the kids could get used to the tune in between the Mifgashim.
Yeah, that's an excellent idea. I did some research to find out where that tune came from because in my search, I couldn't find a YouTube video or recording of the melody that I've used. I went out of my way to ask a couple rabbis I know who like probably taught me that melody where it came from, and they couldn't identify it either. So unfortunately, I can't necessarily do that.
But you can sing. You have a nice voice.
I can. I could sing into an MP3 maybe, or I also could can teach it a little bit during the Mifgash. So just spend a little bit of time and acknowledge that not everybody may not know that melody. So I will take note of that. Thank you, Janet.
Thank you.
No problem. Ari.
I'm just curious because, like I said in my introduction, that I'm not used to fifth graders. I'm used to kindergartners who are cute and sweet and not as fresh, to be honest, as my fifth graders. And I want to know, like, how much should I interfere with the choices that they're making for their sacred time? And how silly, quote unquote, I could allow them to get. Like one of the groups wants to do National Harambe Day, National Honor the gorilla that was shot. Okay. All right. Wow. So, I don't know how much to censor them. And how to give them what should I say to direct them to something a little more serious, or just let them go with that?
So I'm happy to hear what Rabbi Aaron Hirsch has to say about this. But I would say if you can ground it in Jewish values,
right.
No matter how crazy it is. If that's
right.
how they're going to get to the Jewish content,
right?
That's okay. But if they're going to go crazy and they can't get to that, then we have to redirect.
Okay, so I have to kind of inspire them to search for the Judaism within each of their ideas.
Right.
Yes.
This is Erin.
Hi.
Hi.
Turn the light back on.
I like what Lori said. I think
Don't make me have a heart attack.
what you want to do is basically take them very seriously, and if they and say, okay, well, how would you what's the ritual that would go with that, what's the food that would go, and if they can they might like that you're taking them seriously and go ahead and be serious with you. But if they'd also quickly show you if they're just being silly. And if they're
Right.
just being silly, then you need to shift them to another idea. But I would love to see them, follow their own ideas
Chess. After PT, chess.
You know what? I can't hear you anymore. Oh,
Oh,
I can't hear you anymore.
I can't hear anymore either.
You
But
can-
what oh, now
can
I
you hear me?
can. Yep, we can hear you now.
Yeah.
I just said I think we should walk the walk, and we want to engage with them on, we let them invent this project, but
Right.
if they can take it seriously, we can take it seriously. If they're going to be just silly, then you need to redirect them to something, which might actually be less fun for them, but which they'll engage with,
Okay.
in the ways that are fleshed out.
I mean, I tried to like inspire them to perhaps change it to, National, Care for Animal Day, something like that,
So I would just interject and say that when the kids have ownership, they're going to go far and beyond. So
I agree.
I appreciate Erin's support. I will share this story. I'm not going to share the whole story, but what I can say is I once had a group of kids who said, I want to lead a candy service. And I said, okay, great. How are we going to do that? And they thought I was kidding. They're like, really? I'm like,
Right.
yeah. And it worked, right? They really bought in and thought about each prayer and what candy might go with the meaning of each prayer. And it was very, very powerful. So I'm happy to continue the conversation offline if you want to talk further.
No,
but
actually,
I think generally that's the answer.
Okay, I appreciate your feedback because, frankly, that's kind of how I wanted to go. I wanted to let them stick with their ideas, but I didn't really want to have them show up and it be wrong. you
Right. You
and
have to make sure that they find, use the guides, right? So if they
Right.
have a ritual and they have, what foods they eat and what
Right.
text they use, then
Okay, then I'll let them go with it.
yeah. Okay.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yep.
Does anybody else have a question about the presentations before we move on?
Janet's trying to get in.
Who?
Janet is
Oh,
waving at me.
Janet? I muted her. I'll unmute her. I mean, she can unmute herself, but go ahead, Janet.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. I have a question for you. When you talk about Jewish content,
Mm-hmm.
to me, Judaism is like a five-legged table. Some of it is culture, some of it is Talmud, some of it is a mixture of things. Do you have a particular viewpoint when you say it's Jewish? Because I think that the cultural end is as important to American Jewish people and Israelis as is the study of Torah and Talmud and Jewish text.
I agree that it's all important. I think we gave you a little framework for what you need to have in a ritual. And that includes a piece of text. So maybe it's the Shechianu blessing. It depends on what it is that you're Jewish.
Okay, so the Shechianu would be considered the Jewish text.
It could be.
Okay, just asking.
Yep. It has to include
Appreciate it.
something that grounds them in the fact that it's a Jewish thing.
Yeah. No, I got you.
Great.
I just was checking.
No problem. Anybody else?
Yeah, I have a question over here.
Go for it.
All right. When we're doing the presentations, I want my kids to actually put their stuff up on a display board so they can show the different facets and pieces of it. So we'll have space for them to put it up.
Yeah.
tables,
Mhm. You just have to tell me how many displays
Nope.
you're doing, and we'll make sure there's enough table space for sure.
There's 3 groups, 3 displays.
Okay, very good.
Thanks.
No problem. Anybody else? Okay, so back to the Mifgash. Feel free to raise your hand or interrupt me as we go. But once the presentations are done, we're going to switch into tribe time. And in our tribe time, we're going to try to launch our next unit, the third of 3 units, sacred ways of being. And so each tribe is going to work on creating the epitome of somebody exhibiting derech eretz, right? How we be. And so we're going to give you a poster. Oh, the mensch table. It's a periodic table with qualities on it. The kids are going to pick the top 3. You're going to, as a tribe, figure out what your top 3 as a tribe are and report to the large group. And then we're going to go back to the 4 corners game that we did at the first Mifgash with all of those places. You might recall they went to different corners for different places. And and then they're gonna get 3 cards. They're gonna pick one of the places. They're gonna pick a scenario, and then they're gonna pick a blue card that has one of the midot or qualities on it. And they're gonna create a 1-minute skit, very quick skit, like we did at the first Mifgash, that incorporates all 3 of those things and will help them highlight how they be Jewish, how they be sacred, how their ways of being, sacred ways of being. They're going to share their skits similar to the first Mifgash, where we're going to go whip, whip, whip all the way around the room. Every tribe will share, and then we'll have some time for reflection and ask the kids a little bit about what worked for them. Okay, so it's less pieces than the second one, where we felt very rushed at the end. We're going to kind of take 2 larger chunks of time and do less, and maybe less is more. I think Lee wrote to me and said less is more. That's good. So that is the Mifgash. Any questions about how that's going to play out? Nope.
No.
Nope. Everybody's good. Super. Okay, we can move on to conversation number 2. That is, so in the very beginning of the year, we tried to use the Moodle, right, a platform to be able to converse and share resources and talk to each other. And we found that was too hard. And so after our last face-to-face meeting, we created a Google group that was intended for the same purpose, to share resources, to share questions, to share issues, to share what's happening in the classroom that are both successes and challenges, so that we can work together as a team to improve Havayah as a whole. And what we found is that there's not much conversation going on. So could you please help me out and explain to me, A, if it's too much time, B, if it's too challenging, or C, you don't feel the need to talk to each other. When we envisioned Havayah, we envisioned the teachers becoming a team to work together. And I'm wondering how that's playing out now. What else we could do to help you help each other?
May I speak?
Sure.
Okay. I don't know, but I know that after my inbox kept getting inundated by all of these ideas, it really wasn't a discussion. It was like one person was having a conversation on one level, one person was having a conversation on another. I think it's very difficult to just keep throwing ideas out without having ideas built on other ideas. Like if I send out something, I might read something, not be able to answer it, forget what I was going to say. So there's nothing really being built. And I think to be a team, you have to build on each other's genius.
I like that. I think if I'm going to paraphrase, Janet, what you're saying is a conversation like the one we're currently having all together once in a while would be more fruitful than posting a question on a Google group. True?
That's my opinion. Yeah.
That's your opinion. Yeah. So I'm catching you. This is now this is interesting because we only decided to try this forum for conversation after we did it with the ed directors, and it worked really well. They were like, you should do this with the teachers. So, this is a pilot year and we're learning as we go. If
Absolutely.
we find that this is the best way and we should do this once a month and not ask you to, we can have different topics of what's going on over the course of the year, maybe that is the answer. Do other people have thoughts on the matter?
I like it.
I agree.
Harvey likes it. Vicky
Absolutely.
likes it.
Then if we have a problem afterwards, we can, pick it up from there.
Well, I do think that this kind of conversation allows us to actually have a conversation, which is what Janet was saying. It's hard to, one voice and then, the other voices aren't coming in that minute. But this is a scheduled time to talk. Is this something as we move forward to our next conversation, as we look at next year, is this something that you would consider doing?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, it's interesting. Let me turn my phone off so it can stop ringing. There you go. Okay. Okay, that's interesting. This is a better forum. Shock and surprise. Yay. Okay. Well, I'm not sure. So, we can continue to have the Google group in case there is something to share. And it may be, I don't know. I found that regular email is a better way to send you stuff. You seem to respond to that better than through the group. But we can leave it there just for now, just to see what happens.
You could also think about having a YouTube channel to give us information. We like your face. You have a nice face.
Thanks, Janet. I could record ridiculous videos and share them with you.
There you go.
I
Works
could
for me.
sing Hine Matov and share them with you. Yeah, that sounds like so exciting. We can totally consider that. I don't know. We'll see. But if we did have a YouTube channel, you could send us videos of what's happening
Exactly.
in your classrooms, which actually would be lovely.
Actually, exactly.
That's a great idea.
And kids could talk to other kids about what they're doing or what they're getting out of a particular experience at a particular moment. And they could be
On a YouTube channel, you mean?
silly as well as being serious.
I don't know. We'd have to consider that. I don't know if every fifth grade parent would want their kids to do that, but maybe I don't really
So
know.
you put them behind a sheet and you do shadow puppets. There's ways.
Some of
No,
my
I meant, I didn't mean the videos themselves. I meant commenting on the comments. I know that with PJ Our Way, which is a program for 9 to 11-year-olds, they have a lot of standards around how to get kids to talk to each other on the internet.
Right. Right.
So it's something to
And
consider.
it's being monitored by teachers. So it wouldn't be obscene or something negative. But they could be silly and still be poignant.
For sure. It's an interesting idea. Anna's making note of that.
Some of my kids have been making projects also that are videos that maybe would be useful to post there.
Yeah, I know that Marsha was trying to get the video from the second Mifgash, and
For
I
some
don't
reason,
know,
it
it never went through, right?
Her email wasn't working. I don't know.
I don't know.
I
Well,
have like 2 groups that just keep making videos.
do you have them?
No, they couldn't. For some reason, it wouldn't send.
It wouldn't send to anybody.
I don't know. She said she sent it to me, but I never got it.
You never got it either. Okay. Well, if you get it, we'd be happy to see it.
Yeah.
That would be good. All right. Well, that's helpful information. I think we're going to move on to the third bullet of the conversation tonight, which is what feedback can you give us in planning for next year? So part of what we have created this year is 6 hours of professional development, of which if you participate, you get paid for those hours. And as we have proposed the budget and plans for next year, we're interested in hearing your feedback about professional development, about time management in the classroom. What are the standards by which we want to launch next year based on your experience?
Comment from this end.
Excellent.
Timing. The first unit, I think we had like 6 weeks to do it. Boom, boom, boom.
Mhm.
The last unit, we have like, I think 6 or 7 weeks to do it. But the unit we're in now, there's like much more time in between. It's not an equal amount of time from one Mifgash to the next. And I think that would help to spread it out much more evenly so that everything flows a little bit easier within the classroom and within the other parts of the curriculum that I need to deal with.
Okay, so if I'm understanding what you're saying, the calendar was such that the second unit had more weeks than the first and third.
Yes.
Is that right? It's probably because of winter break is different in every shul. And it's probably not exactly the same in every shul.
Agreed.
But that doesn't mean we shouldn't look at the weeks.
Right.
Okay, good feedback. Anybody else?
This is a little bit off the students, but I think it would really help if you could talk to the parents and give them a clearer idea of the ultimate goal of teaching kids about sacred time and sacred space. I don't think that they realize how important it is that not only that we connect in the past and the future and it's Jewish, but without this without understanding what sacred time does for the solidarity of the family, the congregation, the larger community. You know, understanding that on a deep, deep level, they think it's, people in our synagogue, parents are like not real happy with Havayah. And so I'm trying to explain it to them, but my name isn't Joseph Campbell, and I can't get it down to a level that you or Rabbi Hirsch could.
Right. One of the things that's interesting is that we effectively unrolled Havayah in different ways in different synagogues. So it makes sense to me, you know, that, you know, I never spoke to the parents or the board members or anything at Mainline. And so it was more of a, you know, it's like a mental leap for them to figure out why we're doing this than if they had a presentation about it. And one of the things about planning for the second year is that there's, you know, there's more time. So, you know, we could do presentations this spring, you know, or we could do presentations, you know, late summer or, you know, very beginning of fall, you know, depending on what the different communities need.
We also, Erin, could consider doing a forum like this, where we do webinar style and share screens and do a, you know, we could show video, and we could actually invite parents from all of the congregations to participate virtually. And that might be more fruitful and productive than doing it 8 different times.
You know what else would be
Right.
really good? I'm
Good idea.
sorry.
Go ahead.
I think that if you did it through a webinar and the congregations got the parents to come into the synagogue at a scheduled time so that they could share their own thoughts before and after the webinar, rather than have parents, I mean, parents could click in from home, but it may be more productive if they could feed off of one another, because they kind of like think along the same lines. Otherwise, they wouldn't belong to the same congregation.
Couple of comments. I'm sorry.
That's okay, go ahead.
A couple of comments on everything. I remember there was information that was done at Orami, and we had about a decent turnout of parents, and I was there. It was a nice presentation. Usually about every 2 to 3 weeks, I'm emailing my parents about what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And half the email usually deals with what's going on with Havayah.
Mm-hmm.
So far, out of, I don't know, say 6 emails discussing what we're doing and how we're doing it, and a little bit maybe why and all in the tech study and stuff, I've had 0 responses from parents.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I keep sending out the emails and I keep telling them what's going on, but I still keep getting 0 response from the parents. Even after I send home stuff with the kids, 0. Tomorrow, I'm going to find out some things, because kids had to do some things at home to help get ready for the presentation. We'll find out if it was done. But again, I'm getting 0 feedback from the parents, even when I see them in person during the week or on Sunday. There's 0 feedback from them. So I don't know how you're going to change that.
We have the same problem, and kids tell me that their parents don't check their email. That's their excuse.
I've had a little different experience. I also send out, like Harvey, an email each week to the parents, and I give them a little debrief about what we're doing. And, you know, thankfully, I think that the kids are enjoying doing the project part of it. You know, obviously, I'm hoping that they're getting the other, you know, the important stuff that we're trying to get across to them, but they're really enjoying doing the actual hands-on project things. And all I'm hearing from the parents is that they're enjoying it. They love it. They're happy to come to Hebrew school. So, you know, thankfully, you know, we're having a good experience at Colomet.
Yeah, that's awesome. I don't know that not hearing from parents necessarily means anything's wrong either. I think maybe they didn't read their email, or maybe there's another way that we can connect to them. So maybe it's sending home a video, or maybe it's having a forum like this once or twice a year where parents can share their experiences of what their kids are coming home with. Maybe, I don't know. Be interesting to to think about.
You could bring him in the first day that we actually start the program in the year, so that it started with parents and kids at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Just to show them how we're going, this is what's going on. Boom, see, now you know what the kids are actually involved in doing. Maybe that can get them in, but I really don't have an idea. Maybe I'll do that anyway next year, just invite them in for the first one.
Yeah.
I just started at Temple Beth. I mean, I've been at Bethel forever, but I just started with this class only about 3 weeks ago. So I wasn't there from the get-go, but I think that they tried to introduce it at like the back to school night or something like that, but it wasn't very well attended. These kids are in 5th grade, so they've been going to.
I think that Mark said that. I think he did try to have a parent meeting to talk about it, but there weren't that many parents there.
Right, and I'm trying to think of like a different. I mean, maybe it can't be at a back to school night. Maybe they have to have like a Sunday program and incorporated it like a parent program, or maybe there can be something in the beginning that is like a parent-child program that can be facilitated at each synagogue, to kick it off.
So,
and maybe there was, I don't know, maybe there was something like that.
It could be. So it's interesting that, we're talking about how we move, what can we take what we learned from this year and apply it to our plans for next year? And we got on this parent buy-in tangent, which is interesting. And it'll be interesting to see. The parents did fill out a survey, or many of them did fill out a survey at the beginning of the year, and they will fill out one at the end of the year. So it'll be interesting to see the results and whether or not there are perceived connection of the parents plays into how they feel about the program.
Question.
Yeah.
Last year, before you started, you came out and you were talking with the 4th grade parents for this year's 5th grade.
Mm-hmm.
Any plan on coming out and talking to this year's 4th grade for next year's 5th grade? Just as you did last year?
It's a good question. I don't think that we did everywhere, but
Okay.
we did it or I didn't. I wasn't part of the program yet, but I guess Erin did. Right? So did we write that, Anna or Erin, into the plans for next year that we would go do informational speaking?
That
with
would be this year. That would be done this year.
We didn't, but I think it's exactly what we're talking about. I don't assume when we're talking about, what to do for next year, it's only with 5th grade or only with 4th grade. I think we have to look at the whole thing, but also the juggling the fact that there are 8 communities and conceivably more next year does make me lean more towards the webinar option. Because not only the live webinar, but even the fact that we could record it could be really helpful, because, there's just no way that we're going to find times when, this huge number of parents can all log in.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea. I think you're right. We'll be more successful because even if we get any participation from every community, then they can share with their peers, right? They can, if 2 parents watch from this congregation, they can share with everybody else what they heard. They can, and again, we can share the recording. So it might be the way to go, but we're happy to provide a forum and a workshop kind of context for what we're looking at for next year for your incoming 5th graders. I'll talk a little bit about what we're thinking about for next year in a moment, but I'm wondering if anybody else has any other thoughts, suggestions, things to think about as we plan for next year. Lee, I unmuted you in case you have anything to say.
No, I'm fine. I'm just listening right now.
Okay. Okay, anybody else?
Nah, got nothing.
Okay. So let me see if I can frame some of our thinking, can help us unpack it a little bit. In our plans for next year, current Havayah communities in 5th grade can opt in for 6th grade. So your 8 congregations that we're currently working with can send 6th graders to Havayah next year. New congregations can participate with our 5th grade program, but only our 5th grade program. So that is, our 5th grade program could expand beyond 8 congregations, and only those 8 congregations that are currently connected to Havayah can participate in our 6th grade program. Just sharing so that you're all on the same page. In addition, we know that your sixth graders have a lot of B'nai Mitzvah prep to do. And so our intent is to make the units shorter and maybe less of them. So maybe they'll have 2 units instead of 3, with 3 Mifgashim instead of 4. That being said, that means that there will be 7 Mifgashim, 4 for 5th grade, 3 for 6th grade. And some of you will be 5th grade teachers and some of you will be 6th grade teachers, maybe, I don't know. And maybe we'll have more teachers to play with in this Havayah team, which will be exciting. Our curriculum for 6th grade has not yet been conceived, but it will be the same as our 5th grade curriculum in that it can be shared across all of your congregations, regardless of what else you're teaching in 6th grade. Let's see what else I wanted to say. Oh, one of the things we've learned along the way is that we're not in your spaces, and wouldn't it be cool if we could come see what is going on in your communities? And so we're still trying to unpack how to be in all those places on Sunday mornings, because most of your communities are on Sunday mornings, but not all of them. And we're figuring out some strategic planning around how to do site visits, because we think that would be helpful for both us and for you. Thoughts on any of that?
Just that I wind up doing most of my Havayah stuff during the week on Tuesday afternoons.
Yeah, we're Wednesdays. We do it.
You're doing it on Wednesdays. You're doing it on Tuesdays. I know Vicky's Wednesday also. Yeah.
And Tuesday
We're
and
split
Wednesday.
Wednesday and Wednesday.
We have the whole class on Wednesdays because we're split Saturday and Sunday, so we have to do it Wednesdays.
You're doing it on Wednesdays. It's good to know. Perhaps we can schedule some site visits during our 3rd unit, because our time, or at least my time, midweek is more flexible than my Sunday time.
Maybe you could use technology instead of actually going, okay? Because if the minute you walk into the classroom, you change the dynamic of the classroom, okay? But if there's a camera that you can watch what's going on in the classroom and the interaction, the kids would forget that the camera's there and be freer, as opposed to someone they don't know, quote unquote, coming into the classroom, because they don't know you, even if they know you by sight, because you don't have constant interaction with them. Just saying.
I totally hear you. I think that's, of course, true in some instances that kids will totally act differently with different people in the room. If you're interested in videoing your class so that we can see it, we're happy to have that video. It doesn't even have to be live. So if you're interested in putting a phone in the corner of the room and like setting it up so we can see and hear what's going on in the classroom, that would be fascinating.
Okay, that sounds good.
Awesome.
I mean, you're welcome to come to my class. I'm just saying.
I appreciate that. But yeah, if you want, that's another way to do it for sure. Awesome. Okay. So, Erin, do you have anything to add or questions to ask while we're here? No, she's good. Anna,
I
did
have
I?
one comment.
Go ahead.
So I'm finding that my kids are finishing their work like super early. They're writing like 2-word sentences. They're like, they don't want to be there after a whole day of school, and they're just like one and done. They're doing it, they're done, and then we have all this extra time.
So your question is what to do with the extra time, or how to get them to?
And I'm also finding like we finished the unit already, so I've given them extra time to finish their presentations. But as far as like going through the book, we're finishing it like earlier than the Mifgash.
So I'm wondering how deep their learning has been. Is it just superficial? Like, what are they coming up with as far as their projects, and how could you enhance what they've done to make it a little bit deeper?
So it's a very tough class, and there's an issue with the dynamic of the class, and that's part of it. And, there's one kid doing a project on rubber duckies, which is a whole nother issue, but some of them are doing videos and like actually doing relevant projects, but after 2 minutes, they say, I filmed my video and I'm done.
So again, I would ask you to like review the videos if you don't have them, to see what they're actually doing and whether or not all the components of what we've asked them to put in are actually in there.
So if we're following the days that are in the unit, should it be lining up with the Mifgash?
There, not necessarily. There are 6-week sessions
Okay.
in between. So there's 6 sessions that you're teaching, 6 45-minute sessions. So if you have more weeks than 6 in between Mifgash 2 and Mifgash 3, then you have extra time to do whatever else is in your curriculum. It's
Okay.
only designed for 6 45-minute units.
So should we be spacing that out, or it should just be consecutive weeks?
It's up to you.
Okay.
We left it open to the congregation because we know that there are other things in your curriculum that you have to cover.
Okay, because yeah, I'm definitely finding that, like in the beginning when we first started Havayah, the 45 minutes were, it was so new to them that it was taking the full time, and now that they've kind of gotten into, oh, we already know what to do, and they just go ahead and, oh, we can finish this. Why do we have to all go together as a class to do this and space out the time?
So I'd also take time to reflect as a class, to really unpack what they've learned and share with each other, so that it's not just individual groups, but they actually are talking to each other.
Okay.
Hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure. Anybody else? Burning questions? All right, Anna, did I forget anything? Do you have anything to add or share?
I don't think so.
Nope. All right.
Will the bus company know where they're going this time?
I certainly hope so. We will definitely talk to the bus company and make sure they know they're going to Col Emmet.
And you all also need to know that you're going to call
Please
them.
know that you're going to Col Emmet. Our time, we know from the bus company that we will not know exact times until like 2 days before, because they don't like to tell me when I want to know. They only want to tell me when they want to tell me. And so thank you for your cooperation and patience with the bus company. So far, they've taken you where you need to go, even though it was a little complicated. And if you want to think about how to use your bus time in a meaningful way instead of just time on the bus, we're happy to talk about that with you as well.
Oh, I thought of something, Lori.
You did?
Yeah, I would like feedback from this group.
Great.
We've tossed around the idea that moving from space to space for each Mifgash is maybe not helpful for the kids, even though we had this idea that we were sort of going to see different synagogues and we were going to be a little bit fair about the location by moving it around. And we certainly were thinking of that it was more economical by having 2 on the main line where we have a large number of students. However, we started thinking, if they came to the same space each time, they might start to feel like it's their space and it might feel familiar, and you all might feel like the space, and maybe that would help the whole feel. Wondering if you have thoughts about that.
That's a good addition, Anna. Thanks.
It keeps the travel time for everybody the same each time,
True.
which helps, because then it doesn't, like this time we have a long way to go.
Yeah, I mean, from Col Emmet's perspective, they always have a long way to go, but yes, it would keep it the same for everybody. It would keep it consistent, and the space itself would be consistent. As Anna said, if, for example, we held it at Gratz every time, like we did the first one, it would be their space. Nobody else uses that space in that way. It would be their space, and maybe they'd feel ownership of that space.
Maybe you can do that for 5th grade next year and then move the 6th grades around.
Yes, and that's something we've been considering as well.
And it's one less Mifgash to worry about.
Correct.
Maybe that will work better with the other 2nd year.
A lot of my kids have different sports commitments,
ahead,
so I think that's also an issue, that if it's this far away, that they're just treating it as, well, I'm not going to go because I get picked up at 11 to go to my soccer game. So that's something that's definitely been.
Yeah, I'm not sure that would be fixed in any event.
And I think some of them, just in general, when we have these kind of trips, they take it as, oh, it's a day off, and the parents it all stems from the parents. They don't seem to care, which is
That's true.
bad.
Right. So I think because they're presenting, if a kid has to do a presentation, they take it more seriously. And so maybe because they're definitely presenting this time, maybe that makes a difference. It will only make a difference if you remind the parents that that's actually happening. So I encourage you to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have weekly emails that are sent out, and Havayah goes in every single email.
Great.
I
Erin,
also have a question that I asked earlier. Music on the bus was something that they said no to last time, and because it's such a long bus ride.
yeah, what we did ask that question to the bus company, and they did get back to us saying it was up to each individual bus driver whether or not they could listen to music on the bus. And so we have said we'd like them to be able to listen to music on the bus, but we don't have control over which bus driver you get.
Okay, so it's not like a law. Like our bus driver made it sound like not allowed on any bus.
It's the bus driver's discretion.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So one
Wait,
of the things
I'm
that
sorry.
would happen if we were at if we were at Gratz every time, is that it'd be more likely, not promising, but more likely you'd have the same driver and you'd sort of get into a rhythm. And, it would also be safer. I found the dismissal was really hectic at Mainline because we didn't know how to run that. We didn't know how the buses interfering with like the regular routines and stuff. And now we would know and we would be able to do it. But as soon as we figure out how the system works, like we're not going back to Mainline again this year. So that's another kind of like behind the scenes advantage of being at one location. I just want to pop into your heads as teachers about what would help make it less stressful for all of us professionals who are trying to manage the day.
Yeah, the other thing that goes with that, Erin, is that because if we did it at Gratz, everybody would get bused, and we found that everybody getting bused allows more parents to send their kids because they don't have to drop off or pick up at a different time than their other kid at the other shul. And so it made it easier when we found it to be much easier, both because more kids came because of the transportation and dismissal was easier.
And we didn't have parents.
Right.
We didn't have parents trying to get their kids like, I'm at the door. Just let me take 5 minutes early, and it was 25, 30 parents wanting their kid to pick up early. Whereas if they were all bused, that wouldn't have been a constant issue that we were just trying to say, no, we want your kid here till 12 o'clock. That's what we asked for.
And we did have some parents that came to Gratz that had to either drop off late or pick up early, but it was like 1 or 2, not 30. So it was much, much more controlled. All right, I think somebody else had something to say, but I don't know who. Or I'm making it up.
You're making it up.
I guess I'm making it up.
I didn't hear anybody say, we love moving around, move us around.
That's true. That's true.
Well,
So that will go into our plans for next year, because I think it helps us. It helps us logistically, and it may help the kids feel ownership if it's their space, whatever that means to them. And I think the idea, I think Harvey said it, that the 6th graders might go to different places, but the 5th graders would stay in one place, may be the way to go, but we're still working on that.
I have to say that going to Gratz was definitely much more manageable from Colomet than going to Mainline.
Just in terms of distance.
Yes, that was a long trip.
Mm-hmm.
It is a long trip. So Harvey, be prepared.
I'll probably come from home first now.
What's that?
I'd rather come from home. It's quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to say that the kids, it was actually a nice bonding time for them. We laughed a lot. Some of the kids had their phones, which had music on it, so it wasn't blasting over the bus.
Mm-hmm.
So it was manageable. We were toward the back as opposed to being, close to the bus driver. And I mean, we actually had a lot of fun on the bus, but I have to be honest, it was definitely a long drive.
Yeah. So I think, one of the things I would say as we get ready for Mifgash number 3 is your attitude makes a big difference. So when you're happy and excited to travel to Kol Emet all the way over there in Bucks County, if you're excited, maybe your kids will get more excited than if you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm on the bus with you. We've all been there. We know that it's a long ride, and we appreciate all that you do, but you can make the difference. And so I I want to honor that. You can make the difference. You can make it a positive experience for your kids, and that's what we want to see.
Yeah.
Super. All right, so here's what's going to happen. I am going to stop recording this call in a moment. It will be available for anybody, including your ed directors, if they want to hear the conversation, unless anybody has anything that they don't want ed directors to hear. But I don't think we said anything that was personal in that nature. We will send out notes from the meeting, and if you have anything to add to those notes, please be in touch. Again, you need to let me know how many projects you have and if you need any special setup, so that we can provide the right materials for you at Mifgash number 3 on February 26th. I really, really appreciate your time tonight. I will acknowledge that I said you might be on the phone for up to 90 minutes, and we're going to go with 60 instead. Yay. You'll all have a good night. But if you think of anything that you didn't get a chance to say, or if you wake up in the middle of the night with a bright idea, please feel free to shoot it to us. We really do appreciate your feedback. You know far better what's going on the ground than we do, and we really need that.
Lori, where is the video going to be posted?
Where is the video of this thing to be posted? I'll send the link out.
Okay, because I apologize. I was trying to get on. I was having difficulty, so I missed the first part of the conversation, which I'm guessing was about the actual Havayah projects.
It was about the Mifgash, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we just ran through the document I'd already sent, but some people asked questions, and so you'll be able to listen to that as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody else? Last words? All right, again, I really appreciate your being here tonight. I hope this was helpful. I think walking through the Mifgash was probably nice to hear and see at the same time. And so that may be something that we do again before our next Mifgash, if that's something that you're interested in. Again, if you have any bright ideas into the night, send them over. I appreciate your time. I look forward to seeing you on February 26th.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
26, right?
Right.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.